As we all know, drug dealing is causing untold damage to individuals, families and communities throughout every part of our island. One time we thought those activities were confined to major urban areas, but nowadays, unfortunately, no area is exempt from such problems. I know the response to the drugs issue has to be multifaceted, and reducing access to illegal drugs has to be a critical component of that policy. Of course, health, education and preventative measures are extremely important, as well as collaborative work across all areas of government is essential as well. Thank you, and ask Corla.
Thank you, Deputy Smith, for raising this very important issue around the introduced to reduce access to illegal drugs. My department and the whole of government are acutely aware of the sustained and significant damage that drug dealing has on communities right across the country. I can assure the Deputy that tackling drug dealing and associated criminal activity, including by organised crime gangs, is a top priority for Garda Síochána and the wider government. The additional resources allocated to Garda Síochána in recent years enabled the Garda Commissioner to assign extra resources to the specialist units involved in tackling organised crime. These include the Armed Support Units, Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, the National Bureau of Criminal Investigation and the Criminal Assets Bureau. The government's strategic approach to the misuse of drugs is help-led under the National Drugs and Alcohol Strategy of 2017 to 2025, reducing harm, supporting recovery, with the intention being to reduce the demand while balancing this with limiting access to illegal drugs to the greatest extent possible. Sustained action by Garda Síochána to tackle the supply continued throughout the pandemic, resulting in increased convictions and ongoing seizures of drugs, as well as volumes of firearms, ammunition and cash that inevitably accompany this very serious organised criminal activity. The Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau is also having significant success in disrupting the supply of illicit drugs by organised crime groups. Its work is supported by divisional drugs units nationwide and by all Gardaí working in local communities, while working closely with international law enforcement partners. Gardaí continue to work closely with local authorities, the HSE, NGOs, community groups and other state agencies to tackle the problems of drug addiction and abuse. In 2021, the GNDOCB seized around €64 million worth of illicit drugs and around €6 million in cash. And more recently this month, in a revenue joint operation in Balbriggan, the GNDOCB seized €226,000 worth of cannabis. And more broadly, the Garda Operation Tara has a strong focus on tackling street-level dealing throughout rural and urban Ireland.
Thank you, Laskin Corlin, and thank the Minister for his reply. Minister, along with you, I commend on Garda Síochána and the other statutory agencies on their work in trying to cut off the supply of illegal drugs. And we know that they're dealing with dangerous criminals, with drug traffickers who are part of international and just not national industry today, but international gangs who are wreaking havoc on individuals, families and communities. Could I say, Minister, you talked about the additional resources to the different specialist units of Garda Síochána. Of course, that's welcome, but I believe that we need additional resources at every Garda division for the individual drugs unit within those Garda divisions. We'll be told that we have X number of personnel attached to that unit today in comparison with 2 or 3 years ago. But the problems have multiplied in the meantime. So we need more and more resources to tackle the increasing problems associated with drugs. And what I'm talking about here, I'm talking about dealing with these people who are peddling drugs to make huge money, who are wreaking havoc on individuals and families. They have to be dealt with as severely as possible and ensure that their ill-gotten gains are cut off and that the supplies that they have are cut off as well. Thank you, Laskin Corla.
Thank you. I can tell the Deputy and I'm advised by the Garda authorities that as of the 31st of August, there are 385 Garda members assigned to the Cavan Monaghan division, representing an increase of 20% since the end of 2014, when the Garda College reopened. This figure includes 15 community Gardaí assigned to the division as of the 31st of August, up from 7 in 2014. Garda members in the division are supported by 57 Garda staff, which is an increase of over 50% since 2014. The Deputy will also be aware that the Cavan Armed Support Unit Centre was officially opened on the 16th of October 2021. I'm advised by the Garda authorities that the ASU Centre at Cavan is operating on a permanent footing and is providing 24/7 coverage and is sufficiently resourced. For operational security reasons, I cannot comment on the exact Garda resources assigned to that particular unit. But I can say that the focus of Operation Tara is to disrupt, dismantle and prosecute drug trafficking networks at all levels, international level, national and local, involved in importation, distribution, cultivation and production, local street level dealing and sale and supply of controlled drugs, as I say, both in urban and rural areas.
Thank you. Minister, I fully agree with you, and I very much welcome the introduction of the Armed Support Unit at Cavan going back to 2020, and indeed it was a measure that I called for along with other public representatives in the Cavan-Monaghan area, and they're doing extremely good work. Could I say, I said at the outset that I fully appreciate that it's not just criminal sanction and enforcement measures that will rid our society of the drugs issue, but I think we have to, and it's outside your own department's work specifically, but you take the regional drug task forces and the different drug awareness units that there are in different counties. They do exceptionally good work, and I know in my own county, the Cavan-Monaghan Drug Awareness group, they do exceptional work in helping young people get their lives back together again through a process of education and training. So that type of work needs to be given greater resources as well. And I believe that your department, along with the Department of Health and other statutory agencies, must give greater impetus and more resources to the work of those groups at local level. They are dealing with the victims of the drug pushers and the drug peddlers. So I have seen it at first hand, the good work and the good results for individuals that come about through very small government investment. Thank you, Alaskan.
Back to Deputy Smith, who raised the question in the first place. I think absolutely we need to have tackling these issues not simply a matter for An Garda Síochána. It is a whole of government and a whole of a society approach, and supporting all of those organisations that help in the community to help tackle the scourge of drugs is absolutely critical. And I can tell the Deputy, for example, in Cavan-Monaghan region, only in the last week, two groups have been funded under the Community Safety Innovation Funding, and which are located in Monaghan. These are the Personal and Community Resilience Booklet developed by Monaghan Fire and Civil Protection, and Advancing Community Safety in Monaghan developed by the Monaghan Joint Policing Committee. And the funding, this is funded from assets seized by CAB, and that funding has actually been increased in the most recent budget as well. We look forward to granting further funding next year under that.
I've allowed extra time.